I created my own major at UCLA, and this is kind of an uncommon education process. I think it exists at a lot of colleges, but people don't really talk about it as often, and it's very rare. Like, I think at UCLA it's only like 5 people per year that graduate in that program. And I really struggled with understanding what I wanted to do, picking a major. I feel like I am like very creative and interdisciplinary by nature, so none of the majors were working for me. I kept changing over and over, and I needed a system that allowed me to kind of take more active control over my education. So if that's you and you've been hopping around and you don't know what you want, this is something you can consider. I think it's very specific. Like, I don't think it's right for everybody, but it was perfect for me, and I just want to like share my experience because like I really wish I knew about it sooner, because it would have saved me a lot of turmoil and pain and heartache and confusion. I went into UCLA being marine bio because I'm from Florida, my family's from the Caribbean, and I've always had a thing for the ocean. But as I was going, I was like, this feels a little too specific. This feels like a little too down one lane. Like, I'm so open-minded to other things. And then I went biology, and then I went psychology, and then I went psychobio, and then I went cognitive science, and I kept shifting because part of me really wanted this STEM life science aspect, and another part of me really wanted to kind of like creatively pursue my like creative desires and build some technical skills and build some like project-based, skill-based outcomes. I wasn't getting that from STEM. And I knew I didn't want to be a doctor. I knew I didn't want to be pre-med. So I kept changing my major over and over, and none of them felt like they resonated. And I just, at a certain point, I was like, am I even supposed to be in school? Like, maybe college isn't right for me. Maybe I'm supposed to be doing something completely different. I've always wanted to start a business. Maybe I should just start my business. Maybe I should start just like getting a job. So I was in and out of school. I took multiple gap years. I worked in between. I did different jobs to gain experience. Then I went back to school, experimented. And the whole process allowed me to really understand that education is not just about going to class and learning from the book. Education is about throwing yourself into new life experiences, new environments with different types of people, different types of leaders, people that are masters in their field. You can learn from their experience and then be like, oh, I touched this in my own life. That kind of resonates. Thank you for, and it's building these things. I'm lecturing. I need to relax. It's aggregating all these different nodes of information from different places, and college is an opportunity to kind of give yourself some structure in the academic world while you're doing that in other aspects of your life. And I think when I really understood that education is not just about your simple major, your simple curriculum that you're kind of dabbling in, it's about everything and pulling it together and then finding common themes and building yourself, learning what to learn, learning how to learn, learning where your weaknesses are so that you can be more agentic in getting what you want out of life. That approach just like helped me better. Anyways, so I wanted to create my own major because I wanted to merge the STEM and creative stuff, and I really felt that I was not in school to train for a job. I was in school to learn about myself, learn about the work that I like doing, learn how to learn, and learn how to kind of identify the gaps in what I need to kind of get where I want to be. And where I wanted to be is I knew I wanted to build a creative career for myself that's not really like pre-established. Like, I wanted something highly specific to like my skill set, what I feel resonates. I live an artist's life to a certain extent, and I wanted to give myself that flexibility to experiment with like a wide range of different experiences through my education. So I knew I wanted something more interdisciplinary, and all the majors that were in one discipline felt restricting to that. So where I'm at now on the back end of completing this program, I think it's really good for 2 types of people. One, if you have a really specific niche interest that you already know this is what you want to do, you're super passionate about this, it's very niche and different, and like there's no major that exists. So when you say like, oh, I'm in psychology, like that sounds too broad. I really have this like specific interest, and I know that this class is at this amazing college like UCLA. Okay, this guy's gonna mow his lawn. UCLA is a huge university with amazing classes. Oh gosh. Essentially, like, the curriculum exists there. There's just not a major program that's active. This is the world teaching me to be patient. But basically, you have a niche interest. You can get it done at that school, but there's no program that gives you that. The other option is if you're a creative person or someone that wants to really experiment in different fields. You don't know what you want to do yet, but you know that there's like some common theme that you want to explore, and it's interdisciplinary by nature, so you need to touch different departments with different coursework. Oh my gosh, this guy is my neighbor. Love him. Okay, honestly, I'm just gonna keep talking, and if you can't hear me, I'll do another one another time, because I gotta get this video out, because it was in my mind, it's on my list, I gotta get it done. So how this process actually works, I need to stop screaming at the camera and relax. Proposal. So first you think about, okay, like, what do I want my major to be? What type of classes do I want to take? And you write up a whole proposal on like why that's important, why it's relevant to what you want to do, why it's relevant to like the type of jobs, type of workforce you want to do, the type of value you want to provide, and why you're not finding that in other aspects of the university. Like basically, like, why does this not already exist, and why do I need to create my own? And then you get faculty advisors, basically administration, faculty, professors that are like, okay, I get it, I see her vision, I want to support her work, I will advise her throughout the process. That was actually my hardest part, because professors are busy, they're doing research, they're teaching classes, they're managing TAs, they're already advising like their own students, and you're not always able to reach them like by email that easily. Sometimes you can, but sometimes you can't. So I had to email and reach and meet with a bunch of professors before I found people that were really resonating with my project and felt willing to advise my work. And once I had the professor advisors and kind of the idea for what I wanted to do, you had to get it approved by the dean. So you had to kind of like write out your curriculum, write out why this curriculum is sort of supporting your mission or supporting your vision for your education, and then you submit it to the dean. And at that point, you've done a lot of work. I wrote like a 25-page thing. It could get denied. You could still have to go through and get a normal major, but I think that's usually an indication for like what veers people away from this program, is because there's a lot of work up front that's a little bit more high risk. Like, you're going to do the work and you might not get in. Most of the time, I think like it's through the honors college, they will help you through it. You will have the faculty support to kind of like be on the right path for your major to get approved. After my major got approved, I basically went through the curriculum. I did my couple years at school. I like really explored my education. I took different classes. I did the curriculum that I listed. The hardest part for me is, depending on what school you're at, it can be hard to get in classes if you're not assigned to the department, because what happens is usually students under a said department with a said program or said major have priority enrollment. So what would happen for me is I would have to kind of reach out to professors in advance to get PTE numbers for enrollment, which then sometimes made it difficult to get the classes that I wanted right away, like for each quarter. So I had to be very proactive in being like, okay, I have backup options. I could schedule this for next quarter if it's full this quarter, and like really being flexible with knowing that, hey, I have to be agentic and put in extra work to even get into the classes because I don't have a declared program. That's a con. I think that actually made my experience a little bit more difficult, but honestly ended up being a pro because it taught me how to be proactive and think about these things beforehand. To me, it was really important that I took like project-based, skill-based classes, because I really wanted to kind of come out with little projects and ideas, or like concepts, or like artistic skills or design skills that would help me, because I knew I was going to go into like creative entrepreneurship, creative business thing. And then at the end, I took this one class where I basically would write my thesis, and I would sort of aggregate everything I learned throughout the process and really do like some research on my one said thing and write a thesis. I worked really closely with my faculty advisors during this process. You submit it, you get approved by the dean, they approve your major, they approve your thesis, and you graduate. I feel like as this video went on, I got less specific, but all in this to say, I think like my major takeaway from this process was that like if there is a path, there's like pre-designed paths for you, right? Like in education, like it's very common that society says, okay, you graduate high school, you go to college, you pick a major, then you get a job. Sometimes those pre-designed paths just don't click, and for a lot of people, that experience of things not clicking is very frustrating, because it's like, I don't know what else to do. And if anything from this, I learned that you can build your own path. It's a little cringe. And like create your own process and make it specific to what you want, make it specific to your skills, make it specific to your weaknesses, so you can gain the education and the learning that will actually be fruitful and nourishing for you to then apply that to your life later on. And I don't think this is for everybody. I think if you're very specifically like, you want to be a doctor, lawyer, etc., there are stronger solutions. And it's uncertain to me like what the job market looks like in terms of how employers look at this major. I think in some ways employers could be like, wow, that's really awesome, like you took active control over your education and were even more involved, did even more work and you needed to, other employers could be like, oh, this just looks like you don't have direction and like you don't know what you want, so you made some other thing. I don't know what's best for you, but this was what's best for me, and I just want to talk about it because like if I had someone tell me like, yo, this is an option, think about it, see if it's something you would want, I could have greatly benefited from that. And I think everything with the internet is storytelling and sharing experiences, and like I feel like that storytelling has existed for all of human evolution, and now we have the internet to do so, and that is my story. And I think that I could have been more specific and probably more articulate. I could probably share more about like what my actual major is. I studied cognitive design, for those of you that are wondering. But yeah, if you have any questions, reach out to me. My email's in my bio, or you can comment on this video. I'm gonna start making more YouTube videos because I need to practice talking to camera and not be screaming. I feel like I get passionate and then I'm like lecturing, like